Okay, everybody. I hope you can. Am I here? You guys can see me. Look, man. If you're not watching this on the live stream, stop watching this video now and watch part one first. I got cut off right in the middle. I don't believe in coincidences, man. And this is just ridiculous. You're not allowed to know this kind of information. I'm convinced of that. Anyway, we're all good, Joe. You guys can hear me, everybody? I really hope so. Yeah, I need something, love. You're totally right. Anyway, look, guys and girls, what I was explaining when I got cut off here, very simply, is we have crossed the Rubicon, man. We're on the wrong side of this. Unfortunately, as I was saying before, there's a lot of blame going around. It's Biden's fault. It's Trump's fault. It's the Fed's fault. Obviously, all this is played into it. And I'm saying not Trump's term now. The guy's only been in office for a month. All right, now let's stop with that. You knew this was coming from before. We've covered this to the point of nauseum, how inflation, this nightmare was going to hit us all, the global economy contracting, the admissions finally that we've been right this entire time. It's an incredible thing, man. And again, going back to what I was saying, people, we haven't seen anything yet. And I was saying with regard to taxes, no one wants to pay for it. We all want and want and want and want and want, but we don't want to pay for it. It seems like, what's always going on here. Why do you think they continue to kick the can down the road with regard to the debt ceiling, debt ceiling, debt ceiling, debt ceiling, debt ceiling? It's the nature of the beast. We can't stop borrowing. It's a Ponzi. Let me explain this to you maybe another way. The world today, just in case you were wondering, the global debt to GDP ratio is about 240%. Today here in the United States, we're sitting at about 130%. I want you to keep those numbers in mind for a moment. Because once you cross a particular percent, you can't turn back. And the only way to keep the illusion real is to continue to borrow exponentially. And all it does is exacerbate the underlying problem here. What happens, let me just show you what I'm talking about real quick. This is a chart of the US debt to GDP ratio. This is where we are now, about 130%. In 2010, we crossed 90. Then we were at 91%. When you cross 90, it's over. The situation starts to self-feed. And without vastly inflating or finding a reason to inflate, that's convid right there, okay? The system implodes on itself. There's no other way for me to put this to you. I've been warning and screaming and begging people to prepare for a worst case scenario with regard to the debt market. The debt market is going to implode on itself. Here's the reason why. In order to keep this Ponzi going, okay, once you cross 90%, which we did here in 2010, all right, the only thing that can be done here to maintain the illusion is to continue to inflate. In other words, to continue to borrow. So what happens here is creditors who have, we're buying all this debt. Right now, it's central banks who are the number one buyers of debt, issuers and buyers of debt on the earth. They have fulfilled their goal. Central banks have always had this goal since day one, to one day own it all, to become the lenders and buyers of last resort. They're there now. Okay, now what happens here when you cross the Rubicon here, like we have in the United States, without continual, relentless, and exponential debt creation, again, this becomes real. Your 401k plans disappear. We can't fund anything. We go to a Mad Max situation. We're going to get to a Mad Max situation because the implosion of the debt market, it can't be stopped. If we were to default on the debt, or the debt were to be forgiven, let's just throw these hypotheticals out because a lot of people think about with that. Understanding that the currency is units of debt. What would that mean for every single dollar that you have invested, every single dollar you have in your bank account, every single dollar you have in your pocket, or whatever central bank issued currency you have in your accounts? What would happen to it? The value would go to zero. Zeros across the screen. Your bank account, zeros across the screen. Your investment accounts, zeros across the screen. So forget about this. This is a pipe dream that can't happen. Can't happen. There can't be a debt jubilee. There's no forgiving the debt because the currency, as central banks have the stranglehold on us, is all part of the debt. Do you understand? I hope you do. And I know there's a lot of YouTubers who are not market people that are throwing out all kinds of crazy stuff about this. It just can't be done. Yes, with regard, Japan has managed pretty well. I understand. But are they really being prosperous over there? Are they in a worse kind of a situation? Globally, again, like I told you, we're at 240% GDP. There's a moment where, again, without pulling more debt into the now or telling your credit, what it comes down to is this. Without pulling more cash, you can't pay the previous debts. Do you understand? It cannot go on forever. How do we know that? Look at what's happening here right now. And this issue with inflation or currency purchasing power destruction, this is not by accident either. What has happened here? Let's put this together real quick. You got politicians working with central banks here to inflate, and us, in fact, saying, hey, you know what? We like it. We want low rates. We want this. We don't want to pay for it. But we want all these things. We want low rates so we can go out and buy that car and that house, maybe a second home and a new guitar or whatever. You want to borrow and borrow and borrow. And you want to borrow at a really low rate. You understand? So we like the easy money. The easy money pumps up that stock market, makes us all look rich on paper. We're all doing great. We're all doing fantastic, right? But then there becomes a point we don't want to pay for all this stuff. But the system says now is time to pay the piper. And then no one wants to do it. So what happens? Well, it's this person's fault. Well, it's that person's fault. How many of you have actually looked in the mirror and said, you know what? I've played a role in this. Of course you have. We all have. We all like it. Let's admit it. But we're living here in a distorted reality and we are on way borrowed time. So now it's time to pay the piper. And you and I, again, we've covered this to the point of nauseam. We all knew this is coming. And this is when we're all in this situation together. And with regard to this number, and you think I'm just making this up out of nowhere here, look this up for yourself. People never, whatever I talk about, fact check me on everything. Always fact check Greg Mannarino. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first guy to admit it publicly everywhere. You all know that. You all know that. Anyway, look, man. The situation is this. It's dire. Okay. There are still opportunities here to get yourselves in the right spots from a financial standpoint. We are going to witness the largest, we already are, in the greatest mechanism that has ever been thought of in the history of the world with regard to wealth redistribution, right from the middle class, right up to the 1% and 2% who own 90% of the stock market. Believe me, they're going to be out before everybody else. Now, let me just say this too. With regard to the stock market, as long as they're keeping rates suppressed, we could drop below 3% on the 10-year yield. The stock market may not crash. You may be stunned to hear that. We could have a global economy in meltdown. But that doesn't mean the stock market's going to do that if the mechanism is still in place of artificially suppressed rates. At one point, it's going to implode, at least in my view. It's going to hit fair market value. What is fair market value for the Dow Jones Industrial Average? What has Greg Mannarino been explaining on every freaking talk show that I can go on, every interview I've had? What is it I'm telling? I'm telling you it's Dow 8,000. It's Dow 8,000, and we're going to get a 1-to-1 gold Dow. Dow Jones Industrial Average 8,000, maybe lower. We'll get whatever it is. We're going to get a 1-to-1 with gold and a 10-to-1, possibly, but a 15-to-1 silver gold ratio. This is how it's going to play out. There's just no doubt about it, people. It's too simple. So look, I want you guys to sit back and think about what I'm saying here. We have hit the how many of you have been with me long enough to heard me say we are at the point of maximum saturation? That's when we cross this. That's maximum saturation there. All the rest of it is just a mechanism to keep this illusion real. And this illusion is going to get very real, very, very fast here. There is not a single, I know this may disturb you, what I'm about to say, but there is not one roadblock right now being put up to stop the inflationary tsunami that's coming at us. Even though President Trump did take action today. Okay, let's give the man a little credit here. There's $1 billion that's going to go towards, subsidies for eggs, and they're going to come up with some kind of a vaccine for the chickens. You know about this, okay? $100 million for the vaccine for the chickens. They really need that vaccine, of course. And, that's just how it's going to play out. Okay. Ain't going to help. It's not going to help. It's just not going to. Unfortunately, it's not even. It's too little, too late. Let me say this too, real quick. All right. A lot of blame going around. A lot of things going around. If President Trump really wanted to take action, he should have had it ready to go on day one with regard to, instead of calling for lower rates like Elizabeth Warren is and like Bessent is pushing, like you can't even believe. Well, let's let the Fed off the hook. Let's get that 10-year yield down. All that does is inflate the stock market and rob you of purchasing power. Okay. President Trump would have said, you know what? I'm going to start calling Powell, and I'm going to set up a plan where we're going to start raising rates dramatically. We got to let the people know that there's going to be pain here. We've already been known that. If you recall the run up here, Elon Musk said there's going to be economic pain. You remember that? If you don't believe that he said, Elon Musk said specifically, if President Trump is elected, there's going to be economic pain. Okay. Obviously, we see what's going on here. People losing their jobs. And this is just the beginning. Just in case you don't know, if you don't believe me on this, look it up for yourself. With regard to the federal workforce being gutted. And again, this is a sledgehammer approach. It's not like a laser, like what people are getting in there and finding out what's actually going on. I had a whole chat with AI and I posted it, and AI does not agree with what's happening here. I don't agree with it either. I think this has to be done, but it should be done in a more measured way, because what we're seeing here with regard to the federal workforce is going to bleed off people. Look, I've been telling you this for the longest time. Your job, wherever you do, I don't care what it is, all right? In the private sector, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Indian chief, whatever you are. It's not going to matter. Your job is in jeopardy, and I mean in jeopardy right now. You got to think about what that means. What are you going to do when they come for you too? Again, it's a natural progression of how this is going to work. Gutting the federal workforce is going to have a ripple effect through the economy, along with, again, all right, tariffs, tit for tat, all this is going on here. Seems like, we're obviously in an economic war right now. The whole world, we're all at each other's throats here right now. Unfortunately, and it's going to be we the people that are going to pay for it. But let me just say this while I'm thinking about it. What may come out of this, okay, as things deteriorate faster, and trust me on this one, a month from today, we're going to look back, we're going to see it worse. 2 months worse than that. 3 months worse than that. This is going to be cumulative moving forward. Maybe in 3 months or so, when there's enough outcry from the public around the world, maybe our loving, caring world leaders will get together in a room and find solutions. Either that, or this is a controlled takedown of the system, only to issue in a new one. Well, I've been telling you that for 1,000 years, that I don't believe a thing that we're seeing right now is by accident. I believe everything has been deliberate here. The inflating of the debt, what's going on right now with everything. There's no accident why we're here, and the people, as always, are paying for it. So either we're going to face a crisis situation, for which we are in. We are in a full-blown currency crisis and a debt crisis, one and the same. Currency, units of debt itself. And then if you look, man, we could go beyond this. We could take this to the next level. The next level is when we're talking about national debt or even global debt, we're talking about a debt at face value. We're not even talking about associated derivatives with that. It's in the quadrillions, but you're not supposed to know that stuff. You're supposed to focus on the numbers that they tell you. The numbers that they tell you don't even tell a tenth, and I mean this, a tenth of the story. It's just what they flash in front of you, and that's, it's all well and good here. But again, we like it. You want the easy money because you want the stock market higher. Am I correct on that? You want to go out there and borrow at lower rates. You want that cheap money, which means, of course, it hits you in the pocketbook either way how you want to look at it. And then when it comes time to pay the piper, you don't want to pay for it. Nobody wants to pay for it, right? Okay. You think this is going to go on forever and we're all going to be singing Kumbaya somewhere? No. The moment to pay is now. We're seeing it now. This tsunami of inflation that's hitting us now. We haven't seen nothing, maybe a tenth of it right now. Uh, people are gonna wish that action was taken. Again, the public outcry may be so great that it's possible that our world leaders get together. Either that, or again, they're going to get together and talk about the new system. The new system where everything is tokenized, where everything is reduced to a tradable token. Well, you know what? I warned you about that too. And everybody knows that's coming here. Do you think that this crisis is going to go to waste? Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate it. Yeah, you're right. They never let any crisis go to waste. What's going to happen too is there are going to be people who are going to, again, willingly surrender all of their freedoms and their liberties because they want this to stop. And they may be offered some kind of a solution like that. Madison, thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't block Amanda. Amanda should come back here. Me and Amanda had a nice conversation. Anyway. Is Amanda here? No, Amanda hasn't been blocked, right? Anyway, look, guys and girls. Look, man, what do I want you guys and girls to take away from this? You got this weekend ahead of you. Start looking at videos I did a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I have worked so hard with all of you together. This is a collective thing to raise awareness, to make people understand what's coming and why this is coming here. Again, we have all played a role here in why we're in this current situation. So what we're seeing now, we've actually brought on by ourselves as well. We wanted this, didn't we? And our politicians, along with the Federal Reserve, have given us all we wanted, but we don't want to pay the bill. Do you understand? It sounds about right to me. I would think that most of you out here would agree. But look, man, what does this really come down to? Okay. In the immediate future, you need to think about your job. How are you going to prepare for a scenario where the economy shuts down because of a credit lockup, a credit freeze that is going to happen? All of this is going to stop. What this really is going to boil down to is what I've been warning for years, and which is what we saw during the financial crisis here, all right, was a locking up of the system, the stopping of the flow of credit or debt through the system. It's interesting how they call credit debt, right? That's really the moment what we're going to be facing here. Again, a debt default or a jubilee or something would lead to that. And of course, zeros across the screen. You understand? What I believe is that eventually what is going to happen here is they're going to find a way to inflate further. And all that's going to do is exacerbate the problem. Subsidies, backdoor bailouts are one way or the other here. And we just saw the beginning of that with this eggflation issue here. All this is a mechanism to use price controls. Again, that's all it is. It's just being utilized in another form. Because if they actually started saying, okay, everyone, we're going to institute price controls. Well, price controls never work. I mean, don't take my word for this. You end up with a scarcity of resources and almost none at one point. You end up with black markets. I mean, this is not new here. Okay. I personally think, I can't imagine anything that could stop what's coming right now. Maybe, and I mean, this is probably out there, would be President Trump today, maybe next week. I don't know. He's got to do it soon. Using the Gold Reserve Act of 1934, which he can do. Revalue the gold to $100,000 an ounce. Okay. I personally think it should be around 50, 60, or 70. Monetize the gold. Okay. Back the dollar with gold. Even if there's one block, let's say there's no gold in Fort Knox, okay, which we've already been told by President Trump's U.S. Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. He said, and I quote, the gold is all present and accounted for. President Trump is not going to go against his newly appointed Treasury Secretary, just in case you were wondering about that. Okay. But even if there were one bar of gold, one, sitting in Fort Knox, let's just say there's only one bar of gold, he could revalue the gold in that ounce to $5 million or $100 million an ounce. Okay, and you could still back the currency with the gold. You guys are crazy, man. I don't know what some of you think about. It's kind of crazy, but I don't know. That's kind of the situation that we're in, people, and I think that may be the only solution immediate. Because again, if Trump has a change of heart, if Elizabeth Warren and Trump, both of these beautiful human beings, were to get together and watch this video and say, Greg Mannarino, that guy, the guy with the goatee over there, he's right. He's actually right. Let's get on and let's do this. Let's enforce the Gold Reserve Act in 1934. Let's, whoever does, let me explain this to you. Okay. There's an opportunity here for a world leader. There's a massive opportunity for a world leader. Any world leader right now that says we're done with the fiat monetary system here and goes back to a commodity system. And I'm not talking about even partially. I'm talking about a full-backed commodity system wins, okay? We could win here in the United States, and we could change the world. But I don't see that happening. Because if it doesn't happen, if we do not see, let me throw this out there too while we're talking, okay? If we do not see President Trump do something as dramatic as that, then the grander plan is to bring this current system to its knees, try to bring us to our knees as well, only to issue in a brand new system leading to full tokenization. Does that make sense to you? The public outcry is going to be so great in just a few months from now. And everyone's going to blame Trump, okay? And I'm here to tell you yet again, it ain't Trump's fault, okay? Has Trump, Biden, and Obama worked with the Fed during their last 10 years here to inflate? 100%. But we, you and I, we bear some blame here too. Maybe it's about time that people start waking up, don't you think? Anyway, look, guys and girls, before we get out of here and we do what we always do every Friday, I am going to open up right now to some questions here. Is there anything you guys and girls want to talk about before we get out of here? Remember, I got something in my eye here. You're not going to see me until Sunday. Let's see. What revaluation? It's hard to read this. Of gold and alternative. Also make the bonds of other countries. That's an interesting question here. The bonds are worthless. The bonds are worthless. The bonds are worthless now. Okay. And again, we can't pay back that debt without borrowing more. So the bonds are worthless. Let me explain this to you. And this is actually a really good question with regard to the bonds here. The bonds that people are holding, they're actually literally worthless, because if we don't keep the Ponzi going, that is borrowing more to pay that, well, then it's just over. Don't you understand? The whole debt-based system is insolvent. Does that sound familiar to you? The entire debt-based system is what? It's a black hole. It's a vacuum sucking everything down with it. Not only the purchasing power of the currency, but people's hopes, people's dreams. All of it is being sucked into this black hole. Does that sound about right to you? I bet it does. You know why? Because you're smart and it makes sense. Stable coins. Come on, guys. That's not the solution to this. I'm sorry. All right. Bitcoin, all this stuff. Yeah, all this talk about, do you see the volatility here? Look, I want everyone to hold cryptocurrency. I've been telling you guys this for 1,000 freaking years here. Okay. But do you see the volatility in the space? You cannot have the currency backed by something as volatile as that. Why is it? And why do you think? All right, I'm going to tell you the answer. But why is it that everybody says gold, 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 gold? You ever think about it? Because it's pretty looking. You like looking at gold and kissing it and playing with it? You like that? Is that what you like? No. Gold is don't take my word for this, along with anything else that I say. Okay. Gold just happens to be the most stable asset in history. Okay. So that's why, again, we need a Bitcoin standard. You think I don't see the comments? I know what's going on here, people. Do you see what the volatility here? You should expect it. Does this rattle you? You don't like seeing in the cryptocurrency space? This is normal. Not only is this normal, but you should expect to see more volatility in either direction. That's why we can't have that. Come on, guys. Why is XRP dropping? Look at these kinds of questions. Okay, it's a good question. It's because cryptocurrency, the entire space, is volatile. Why? Companies like BlackRock have now become the whales. And whatever they do, they can move the price any way they want to, people. Does this make sense to you? Anyway, guys, you can't eat gold. You're absolutely freaking right. But if we backed the currency with gold, okay, and we had a real system, you wouldn't have to worry about eating gold now, would you? No. I love how people like to throw that around, eat gold. You got to have things, of course. We're all prepared. You got to have a stash of food, at least for 6 months. You got to have access to water. You have to be making the right connections with people, but we wouldn't face a worst case scenario in case you haven't noticed. Okay, you can't eat gold. I love hearing that one. This is just beautiful. Yeah, of course we got to plan things. Of course we got to take care, but it's just a no-brainer here. The system can't, we're not just going to be trading crops back and forth, although it could be a commodity, right, Jonathan? He knows that I'm talking. The repo market. The repo market is a joke. I've explained the repo market to people for years, Jonathan. That's a great question. But the repo market is just... All right, let's do this. Let's talk about what the repo market is, or the repurchasing agreement market is. Okay, it's a way to trick the market into thinking it's more liquid than it actually is. What's involved in the repo market is vast amounts of cash moving from these institutions to these institutions overnight, digitally, of course. Okay, and this movement of cash back and forth in the repo market overnight, what is it doing? It's tricking the system to believing it's more liquid than it is. Let me tell you something right off the bat. People, we are in a full-blown liquidity crisis. We have a currency crisis. We have a debt crisis. We have a full-on liquidity crisis. And let me tell you how even stranger this gets. Are you ready for this one? If you've been with me for any length of time, you know what I'm about to tell you. But let me say this for those of you that are maybe new here, okay? Even though the system appears to be debt saturated, it really does, doesn't it? There's not enough debt. The very nature of the debt-based economic model that we all run around, every developed economy works on this, okay? It's not commodity-backed. It's not a wealth-based system. It's a debt-based system, demands that debt be pulled into the system in greater and greater and greater amounts. Henceforth, why? When you pass the Rubicon, like we did here in 2010, you need exponential debt and any reason at all that they can use to fuel the system. That's what this whole thing is. That's the convid spike. You notice anything? How many of my technical analysts out here know what kind of pattern that is? You see that pattern out here? Who can tell me? The first one that can tell me what kind of a pattern we're looking at here wins today. What is it? No, it's not a gold candle. What is that? Nope. Yes! It's a bull flag! Legacy, unbelievable. You got it. What does that tell you? Where do you think it's going to go, man? This is what the chart's telling you right there where it's going to go. Come on, man. I just noticed that. You guys are too much. Gosh, man, I tell you, I love you guys. I love you guys. You have no idea how much I could sit here all day. I should probably have a live stream that runs all freaking day, because this makes my day when I'm here with all you guys. I can't say that I have a lot of close friends, honestly. I have a lot of acquaintances and close friends, but I consider every single one of you a close friend, because I'll tell you why. Because when I run into you guys and girls, and it happens quite often, I hear my name somewhere and someone comes running over to me. I know you, you're Greg Mannarino. We hug, and I even get some kisses from the ladies. Yes, it has happened. I feel so good, man. It makes me feel like I'm making a positive difference in this freaking world. And anyway, guys, we are making a positive difference in the world. I know we are. I feel it. I hear it from you guys and girls. So I really care about. Anyway, reality, Greg. I don't know. Reality. You're right. Let's snap back to reality. Thank you. I didn't need a little reality check there. But anyway, you guys and girls, before we finish here, okay? And I want to maybe a couple of questions here. And anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here? I want a kiss. Maybe if we meet up one day. Yes, raise chickens and people, we got to do this stuff. There's no doubt about it. Stay inspired 100%. I think we're pretty much on the same page here, guys. Oh, I really hope that how's the dog? Vega's doing pretty good. She had a surgical procedure on that eye and she's doing pretty well, poor thing. I'm even getting some kisses from dudes here. You know what? Okay. Listen, I think we're going to call it here. I've covered a lot in part 1 and part 2. If you're just getting in here and watching part 2, please do not miss part 1. Go watch part 1. It's kind of important, I think, so we can put this together. Guys and girls, listen. Bring it in. Let's do this, all right? Let's do this together. Think about right now in the live stream, there are 1,414 people watching this. Let's do this. Let's 1,414 people around the world do this. You ready? Bring it in. Bring it in, everybody. Bring it in. Love each other. Care about each other. Be charitable. People, consider all the stuff that we've spoken about here. Okay? It's important stuff. If I've earned your thumbs up on part 1 and part 2, I hope you give this video a thumbs up. I hope sincerely that you will share parts 1 and part 2 here on all your social networks. I sincerely hope you start talking about these things here. Knowledge, wisdom's power. And we have the power, my beautiful friends that I love from the heart, to change the freaking world. I've been telling you this since I don't know how long. One person can change the world. I believe that. One person. Throughout history, we've seen figures like that have changed the world. Imagine what we could do collectively, really, honestly, if we really adopted, loving each other, caring each other, be charitable to each other. You think we'd be in the situation we're in right now? I don't think so, honestly. All right. I will see you guys and girls Sunday for my markets a look ahead. Check your inbox tomorrow, probably. I'm going to have something for you if you subscribe to my newsletter. Link in the description of this video. And I think you'll appreciate that too. All right. And I appreciate all of you more than you know. I think you and I really, we have presented throughout for the years, we presented solutions. And I hope that our world leaders are listening to us. I really, really do. Let me leave you off with this. Do you believe in your heart that our world leaders want to have a solution, or is it bigger than that? That this is deliberate? They're working towards a goal collectively to issue in a brand new system, a system of maximum control. I fear that that is the case. I'll be honest with you. All right. Love you all. See you Sunday. And that's it.